from the Pocket Watch Podcast. I'm Zach
Cruz, Jake, and
Dolo.
No guest today.
Nope.
As you can tell,
Dolo Duo. That's what I meant to say, but it's all good.
it's the Dolo Duo, bro.
Dolo Duo. I mean, you guys have seen this
Yes.
a lot of times.
Thanks for tuning in for another week. Those that that tune in weekly, thank you so much. Whatever platform you're on, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, whatever the case is.
Yep.
Don't forget, share this to somebody that you think might fuck with it.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, thanks for tuning in another week.
Yeah, the only reason why Jacob's not here today is because it's his birthday.
Yeah, so
that's a valid excuse. I mean, it is what it is. And plus, we had Christmas like 2 days ago, technically.
yeah, weekly pods are not for everybody.
Nah, man, especially like right now, we haven't even doubled up yet, so it makes it even tougher.
Yeah, like we have to.
Sunday, I was up on Monday. I was up technically Monday because it was Sunday night. I'm over here fucking, I don't know what was going on. I was at my mom's house. I was exporting the video. I exported it, and then I went and did a bunch of shit, and I came back at night to start uploading it. Failed for some reason.
Really?
I'm like, what the fuck? I haven't had an export fail in forever. I'm like, fuck, bro. And it was like 12:30 at night. I'm like, fuck, I was going to go to sleep. So I'm like, fuck, okay. So I run back through whatever, and then I re-export, and then, so like, that takes a minute to do. So it finishes at like, I want to say like close to 2 a.m. or something like that. I come to my computer, I see my computer has like a crash screen. I'm like, oh my God. Luckily, that second time it actually worked. So now I got to upload. But I didn't get that shit uploaded until like, I was uploading it at like close to 3 a.m. I was up fucking, I'm like, fuck, bro.
See, that's the struggles, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun. I love podcasting, and we got it to a science where it's not too bad.
No, yeah.
But it's still, the behind the scenes are rough.
No, it's just, I think what makes it rough is whenever we're not ahead a week.
Yeah.
Because whenever we're ahead a week, I just do a little bit at a time. I'll wake up in the morning when I'm eating my breakfast, drink my coffee. I'll start doing like, okay, I finished my stuff, close it. The next day, close it.
Yeah.
But whenever we're not ahead a week, that shit gets tough for me, bro.
Yeah, and obviously it doesn't matter. We're at the mercy of when we can, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I always know because there's like 4 people that text me when we don't upload. And they always text me like first thing in the morning. So like I always know if we ever had a problem or something.
Yeah, that Monday though, it was uploaded at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
Yeah, no, we were good. But that's what I'm saying. Like that's why like usually I'm kind of like, man, but like, hey, 4 people, 5 people that tune in and wait for it Monday morning. That's the schedule right there. Yeah. That's what we do this for.
Yeah, you know? we've never missed a Monday, but we've missed Monday mornings and uploaded like Monday afternoon.
Right.
But we've never been a full day late.
No, and for the most part, it doesn't really matter, I guess.
No, but that's still crazy to say though. For 90 episodes,
consistency, baby.
90 episodes, because this is episode 91 right here.
Yeah,
episode 91.
Yeah, we really do gotta plan something for episode 100 giveaway, whatever the case is. We got hella shirts right now. We can start incorporating those into the giveaways.
That's crazy, bro.
That'd be good.
We're about to be 100 episodes in this bitch, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
All right, we're retiring at 100, guys. No. Imagine.
No. That now, like,
we're too deep into it.
Yeah, because just that, like the behind the scenes on the technical shit, and then the behind the scenes on not technical, but like thinking of how to get the every time. I love our camera, but I always think like it's not the multi-angle thing.
Yeah.
It's I always look at our spot. It's like, yeah, we could always do this. It's like a constant constant like pressure to like keep doing good, and that's good because as soon as we don't feel that way, that means we're not trying no more on the pod or whatever. But all of that, it's like, man, yeah, for 90 episodes, it's pretty crazy. Like that shit adds up. And Christine tells me too sometimes, like, are you getting tired of it? Like, is it starting? Like, are you done? Like, 'cause she's done with. You know what I mean? She's like,
she was done after episode 10.
Yeah, she's ready for me to be done. But I'm just like, man, like, I love it and I like doing it. First of all, but also like we're this much more invested every time, and it's like it's that much not worth it to stop or to not go weekly and shit. It's like, damn, we've gone so long doing weekly. Like, it's doable.
It'd be crazy to switch it up. Yeah, I think it's doable. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that it's crazy, man. 91 fucking weeks.
Yep,
consistently.
Yep, and we're growing with it, and we love to see it, and we got more coming.
Yes, sir.
Once we hit 100, and then we're planning for the 2 years.
This is our New Year's episode, so happy New Year's, guys.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Happy New Year's.
This going to be dropping right after New Year's.
Ooh, this is good. I like that. Yeah, because this is dropping Monday after New Year's.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I like that. Happy New Year's, guys.
Yes,
Hope you guys had a good New Year's.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Damn,
sir.
I wish I would have thought about that when we opened the podcast. Hope you guys had a good fucking New Year's, man.
Yeah. So, definitely going to be, it's going to be the beginning of the year. So it's the time to buckle down. The holidays are over. Most people's pockets are tight. Everybody's feeling fat. How the New Year's goes with everybody.
Season.
Yep, exactly. It's resolution time. So figure out what you want to do and get to fucking work, man.
Damn, I like that. That's a good segue, honestly. Like, because it is resolution season. It is New Year's, right? Like, this is when everybody's going 100. This is Q1 of the new year. Like, this is everything, right?
Yep, exactly.
It's interesting because something to keep in mind when you're thinking of like your resolution or like New Year, New Me type of thing or whatever. I had this interesting like thing that happened to me that I want to share on my podcast. So I was talking to Kristan like earlier this week, and I don't know how we got into it, but we were talking about my grandpa, and I've always mentioned like my grandpa's from Colombia, right? Like I always mentioned it, right? And it's such a throwaway because my dad doesn't have the culture at all.
No, yeah.
And I don't have the culture at all.
Yeah.
So it's very much a throwaway, and I treat it as a throwaway, and I kind of should because I don't have the culture.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, why are you going to fight so hard? But me and Kristan were talking about him, and then she was like, I was kind of telling his story, right, that I know of or whatever, because he died when I was 1. So he met, anyways. And then, me and Kristan are at this point of our lives. Hello?
Oh, Zachary, look at me. That's what I always talk shit about. Yeah, it's Melissa.
You want to answer it on the podcast?
No, she's with her family right now. They just love SeaWorld.
That would be funny. I would love to. Shut the fuck up.
No, like you were saying though.
Oh, okay. So we were talking about it, and she was a little more interested now because we're at this stage in our lives, right, or whatever. But I was like, I was telling his story, and I was like, yeah, like he came from Colombia. I don't know if it was like a boat. It wasn't a boat, right? People don't come from Colombia on a boat, right?
No,
that's too far.
That'd be I mean, it's not impossible, but it would be really, really far.
That's what I don't understand how he got here. It doesn't really matter, right?
It might have been during I don't know exactly, but it might have been during that immigration era when everybody was coming in through like New York and
he started, this is my grandpa, so this has got to be like, my dad was born probably this has got to be like 1940. Yeah, he might have came on. He might have came on a boat back then, like one of those big immigration boats that a lot of people came from. But regardless, right? Like, and I'm not really sure the story of it, or whatever. But he immigrated here, joined the military, got like citizenship through the military or whatever, and then he was like really smart. Like he helped work on the like atomic bombs and shit like that. Like he was an engineer or whatever. And anyways, but Kristan was kind of like, she kind of stopped. She was like, what's funny is like you get a lot of shit. Like she's like, why don't you tell people this? I'm like, I do. Like you've heard me say. I was like, I do tell people this. But like she's like, yeah, but like you get a lot of shit for being a white boy. Yeah. Like a lot of shit for being a white boy. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I am a white boy, right? Like culturally, like this and that is why I don't argue it much, But I also am comfortable enough to say like, yeah, I got some Colombian in me, like my grandpa, right? Like we all got a abuela or whatever. Exactly. It's like she was, and like it was interesting to see it click in her mind. She was like, that is one generation. Like literally, you had a grandpa that came to the States and he didn't speak English, and he had to like learn how to speak English and stuff like that. And it's like, that's your grandpa. But like literally, like you can't speak to my grandma, kind of thing. Like our grandparents could talk to each other, which is kind of dope to think about because she's always had this perspective of me, like super white boy. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting. The ironic part about it is he came to the States and didn't speak English, learned how to speak English in the military, whatever, did all this. And then when he had his kids, he was raising them, like my dad and his brothers and sisters. He was raising them in Oregon, which is more white area. So he didn't teach them Spanish because he felt like people were going to make fun of them. which is his trauma because when he came to the States, he didn't know English.
Yeah, exactly.
So he always felt like he was struggling and probably been made fun of. Maybe back in the day too, where there's a lot more whites all over the place. You know what I mean? Like maybe it had that experience.
Yeah.
But he didn't teach his kids Spanish, right? Because of that, and that's why it's ironic where like that whole culture died with that decision he made, which is kind of like interesting, right? Like he didn't teach his kid he named his kids the most Spanish names ever. And then didn't teach them no Spanish. And then he named me. Like the reason why my name is Cruz is because of him. He named me or whatever, and didn't pass down no type of no type of culture, no type of Spanish, nothing.
That's funny.
And it's ironic because he didn't teach them Spanish because he thought they would get made fun of. But like he had a grandchild, me, that gets made fun of for not knowing Spanish. Like,
yeah, right.
Your name's Cruz. You don't even know Spanish. What the fuck? You're
Yeah.
Colombian? No, you're not, bro. You're a white boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's like, thanks, Grandpa. Like, I'm getting made fun of because you didn't feel like teaching nobody Spanish. You know what I mean? Like,
it's also the area that you live in too, because
very much.
If you're like in the Midwest, it's polar opposite.
Yeah, I'm super exotic when I go to Iowa.
Yeah.
I'm super exotic.
Exactly. But like versus over here in Florida, it's like everybody's fucking Spanish in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I mean, I say that to say it's just funny, like that how that full circle happens right there. But it's also like that's bullshit. Fuck that. Pass down as much as you can.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That shit literally died there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like none of the Maderos that came to the States they're white. They're super. You know what I mean? Lost all the culture, and then whatever Maderos that stayed in Colombia, like it's like night and day type of thing.
Do you,
all because
do you
of that
speak
one
to any
decision.
of your family over in Colombia?
No, but I'm doing a 20. Like because of that conversation, Christina's like, we're going to do a 23andMe. We're going to see if we can connect with anybody. Because
do you know what city?
Bogota.
Oh, Bogota. Oh, that's the same city Melissa's from.
Yeah. So it'd be really cool to see like how my connections.
And you don't know any names of anyone or anything like that?
Madero, and I think I had his brothers' names. He had two brothers, which makes me even more excited because that's two just like male Madero passing down the name, So even if there's girls, like if I have an aunt out there, or something,
which I'm sure you have an additional extension family. That's crazy though, and it's crazy how like you came over here and everything just got cut off. Everything.
Like, and I would literally go there, and if they know English, I'd be like, yeah, like my grandpa Humberto or whatever didn't teach none of his kids Spanish. He was ashamed of it, and it's kind of a weird thing. Yeah,
it is. That's interesting though.
It's interesting.
It'd be crazy to connect it. That could be like a whole little journey that you can share.
Like what's funny is how I grew up with Mateo since little kids in that Colombian household. Yeah, getting all that culture, and they made fun of me the whole time. Isn't it hilarious? Yeah. Like my grandpa would literally be rolling in his grave, looking at his little white boy grandson. Just like, oh, is this an arepa? Okay, and he's like, oh no, like, look what you did, bro.
That's fucking
Isn't
hilarious.
Crazy?
Bro. Yeah, that is hilarious.
Isn't that it never really hit me until like I started piecing all those moments together, and I'm like, you know what? Because I never really validated that much of what my dad said, but like, sure as shit. I mean, you look at his pictures and stuff like that, and he's super Colombian, and then my mom and my family met him, so that's like extra. I'm like, okay, this isn't just some weird story. I never met this guy because I did, but I was a baby or whatever. But she was like, no, like he didn't speak good English. Like when I talked to and stuff like that. Crazy, I'm like, damn, that is crazy. And my dad just sounds stupid all the time when he talks to people, right? Like, hey, ¿cómo se llama? Like he sounds like typical white guy trying. Yeah, and it's like, bro, literally that guy's dad came from Colombia and couldn't speak English.
That's fucking hilarious.
Isn't that crazy?
That's funny as fuck.
That's funny, and it was a cool little full circle moment. But also, I think it relates because it relates to kind of the topic I wanted to talk about, which is, I saw this article on Wall Street Journal, and I like it. It says the way you tell your life story matters. Start now, right? Okay. And what that guy was kind of talking about anyways, I mean, he was kind of talking about why you should maybe start writing a memoir, XYZ or whatever, but like less than that, like 3 layers back from a memoir. The way you tell your story matters. Start now. It's kind of like what we were talking about legacy a couple episodes ago with Sam Bankman-Fried or whatever. But it clicked for me even talking about my grandpa, right? because your story matters starting out. Like after I had that conversation with Christine, I thought about our, because now we're at a different stage in our life, and I could almost envision us having kids.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, that's way more real now for me than it ever has been.
Yeah,
it's like us having kids, and then like that story getting to them, kind of, right? And in full circle, also thinking about how my grandpa making that decision just cut off a certain story, right? Like it cut off, like he told so little about himself. You know what I mean? That there's like a whole story, a whole legacy, a whole family history or pride or whatever that I could have had that I didn't have, right?
Yeah.
And so there's that, right? Where it's like, if he would have been more transparent and actually try to pass some of this culture down and stuff, that matters more. Because when I talk to my kids about my grandpa, I'll have more about that, right? Exactly, like it keeps your name alive. And I like that, because even in the article they talk, because it's like real estate, assets, all this other stuff disappears pretty much when you die. Yeah. But like memories are the things that keep you alive, right? Like memories and stories are the things that keep you alive, and that's what keeps your memory up. That's your only asset once you die. Yeah, is your stories and your memories. And the lack of presenting those, like for my grandpa's situation, but then also these days especially, we have like that person out, like that thought of like, you know, fuck, you know, like it's kill or be killed world, like it's, you know what I mean, like it's like very cutthroat, this and that, right? And there's not a lot of motivation to be just good or good to people or nice. Yeah, there's not a lot of motivation. No. Like for the most part, you know,
even a lot of people who do it, they're doing it and recording it so they can
trying to get some credit for it, which is, I guess, is fine, right?
I'm wishy-washy with that, because it's like, it's like, damn, like you're doing good, but at the same time you're doing it. But then like there's like actual social media influencers that have based their whole entire like agenda on helping people, and it's like, well, if they don't post the videos, they don't get money to keep helping people, and it's like, damn. Yeah. How do you how do you like, it's hard to like unjustify that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's maybe let's just talk about, how about more specifically you, right? Yeah. Like, and whoever's listening, think of yourself. When you have friends or family or stuff, and you're around people, you might feel like life is rough, and nobody has sympathy for each other, right? All this, you don't have a lot of motivation to be kind to your other friends or family members, or help out with something, right? Like fucking a tree or whatever, right? Like there's not so much motivation to be like, yeah, I got you, like, because it's more for yourself. It's more like, all right, either A, you feel good about helping, or B, you know, like you feel like you owe somebody that, you know, kind of thing. But then what I'm talking about is C, like just doing it to do it. And why do you want to be a good person? That's what I'm kind of talking about, right? Like the first two are the main motivations. Yeah. It's like, I get off from this, or I owe. Like I'm in debt if I don't do this. Yeah. And then the third option is just doing it to do it. Like just being a good person, like a good person in the community, like always helping out, always being like the life of the party type thing, or whatever the case is. Like there's not a lot of motivation for that. And one thing that clicked for me was your life story, your legacy, your memory. That is motivation. Yeah. To pick C a lot of times, and happily pick C, and actually seek out like the opposite, where you're actually seeking out to go and be good to others. You know, like I'm not saying like go, you know, give money on the streets and shit like that. Like I'm just saying, instead of being a dickhead, here's motivation to not be. Yeah. Right? Like you got a kid or whatever, and you might see them like, this motherfucker just straight asking me for stuff, you know, this and that. You know what I mean? Like a little shit maybe, you know? So like why do I need to go above and beyond for this kid? And that's a bad example, maybe a friend, whatever the case is, your significant other, your brother, your sister, right? Like nobody has to be the how you call it, like the when you talk about brothers and sisters, nobody has to be like the person to lean on. Nobody has to be the organizer. Nobody has to be the facilitator. But people do that, you know, and then some people do that and get really worn down by it. Why? Because there's no motivation for it. Like there's no like, you don't get a pat on the back, right?
No, that's true though.
And when I was thinking about my grandpa's story and stuff, and when I was looking at this article where it's like, you know, your life story starts now, you know, I forgot what it is. Like start
writing.
It matters. Your life story matters. Start now. Because that is motivation. Because I was like thinking how I'm talking about my grandparents.
Yeah.
And my dad even, right? Or my parents, like how I talk about my mom, right? And then how I talk about my dad, that's what's going to live. Mm-hmm. And that's what's crazy. Like, no matter, you know, like, and I got good things, right? But like when I talk to my kids about my parents, the stories matter, dude.
Yeah.
Those things that they did that they felt unappreciated for, those things matter. Like those things create who you were or your legacy, right? Big or small. The smallest one is the story to your kids. Yeah. That's probably the smallest version. You know what I mean? And the more people you touch or impact in doing those good things or whatever, that's even bigger motivation. That's the legacy right there. But like it clicked for me too, because I was like, I could tell my kids about, you know, my grandpa came from Colombia and he worked hard and he was actually really smart. He was in engineering and stuff. Like maybe we get, you know, I get that from him or something, you know, like the numbers thing maybe. But that's it. He was a dick. He was like a bad person. You know what I mean? Like that's where the story stops. And not only that, he was such a dick. He didn't like pass down culture. Like it was like very strict in that way and stuff. Boom. Story stops on a couple bullet points and that's it. That's going to die soon. You know what I mean? Like I'll keep passing that down so you know where it starts, but it's not like, yo, my grandpa did this and did this and did this. And part of that comes from doing it throughout your life and then like understanding it's part of your story, it's part of your legacy and telling your kids or your people about that, you know? Like I'm sure, you know, 15, 20 years from now, because like Kristan and her brother, she's the rock and the facilitator and stuff. That's where their kids are going to know about Kristan. Mm-hmm. Like, oh no, Diti was, you know, that was my big sister. Like she was always doing this and doing that. And like, we always go to her and we lean on her for shit like that, you know? And it's like, boom, when they tell their kids about Diti, like that, she was the strong one, you know, or something like that. And it's like, damn, that's something to motivate you to do that extra mile or to be a good person. Cause you know what, even if nobody knows, that's maybe like somebody knows and that's what's going to get passed down. Right. Like if I help you out, only me and you know. Yeah. And actually if only me and you know, that's better because whenever you have your person or whatever that, oh no, that's Cruz. Like we got each other's back kind of thing. Yeah. Like it's validated. Like we did one time, this happened and he got me for that. Yeah. You know, and then that's like, that's my legacy that I'm spreading now. And if I were to die today, that's what's living, you know? Mm-hmm. And that gave me some motivation, bro. I'm not gonna lie, because a lot of times I do get drained out from being
like a yes man.
You know, it's not. It's kind of it's a little bit of a yes man.
I feel you.
It's a little bit of like not. You know, do I have to smile when somebody shits in my face, kind of thing, or whatever? But it's like, no, that shit matters because like people see that shit. And you are a story, your life story. You are the main character in your life story, and it's up to you how people can talk about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it could stop at certain accolades, and that's it, or it could be accolades and who the person was. Yeah, because it matters for me how I pass it down. Less honestly, I'm talking from the perspective like it matters for me. Like when I die, I want to have a legacy and stuff. It matters for me because I don't, you know, like my mom, maybe, you know, but other than that, I don't have much people in my lineage that I could really look up to. Like I got a lot of pride when I heard my grandpa did engineering. I was like, dope. Fuck yeah. Yeah. You know, I have a lot of pride in my uncle's business ventures, but they're not even like my blood. You know, they're my aunt's husbands, you know? So it's like, that's few and far between right there. You know, imagine how much pride you have, the better that person's story is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, the better the person was, the better the accolades, the better X, Y, and Z. How much pride does that kid get? Yeah. Or how about your grandkids looking up to how your grandpa, you know, like your grandpa, you are grandpa, you know, like Grandpa Zach.
Yeah.
And your grandkids, like, how much pride, like, in a Martin name, you know what I mean? Or something like that. It's like, that gives me motivation to be that good person, or to like do that extra mile for people and, you know, my friends and family, work, you know, whatever the case is, where it's like, just, you know, you bring somebody to a work party, you bring your kid to a company party, and everybody sees the respect and the fun. Like, it's like, yeah, my dad was, he you know, you let people treat you how you let them, or people treat you how you let them, kind of thing. Like, just good fucking things. Or like, I can do whatever because that's where I come from, you know? Even if you're parent, like, the more I would hear about my grandparents, I would be like, oh, like, that's where I pull from. We all get that, like, little nostalgic feeling, like, yeah, I get that from her. Yeah, I get that from him, you know, or something like that. No, when you see your uncles or aunts or grandparents or whatever.
That's true. But hey, like, my grandpa was he worked for himself his whole life. Mm-hmm. That passed along to my whole family. My mom's, like, all of his kids work for themselves. Yep. You know, they've all worked for themselves, or they all have worked for themselves at one point in time. Yeah. Besides, like, a couple outliers. Yeah. And, you know, he had 8 kids. And I would say, like, I believe 6 out of 8 or 7 out of 8 have had their own businesses or still do work for themselves. Yeah. Yeah. You know see, I mean, I don't know. I was just thinking about that, and I was like, man, like, you know, when you talk about legacy, it sounds like a selfish thing, but it's like, it's a little bit of both. No. It's like, you should care about it. Like, the way we analyze and we work for this bread and shit like this, it's all for assets, right? And it's kind of like, but what if you're a dickhead the whole way there to get your assets, and then you, like, tarnished the ultimate longest living asset, which is like your memory, your legacy afterwards, you know? And it's like, this is a good reason, a good perspective, a good motivation to care about your how you treat people. That's why it's always interesting to see how people that are in, like, more elite positions are able to, like, even, like, if it's not publicly, but, like, what they do with their money, contributions wise, and what, not just money, but also their power, what they're able to do. And I do think, like, accolades could get to a certain point where maybe legacy means a different thing. You know what I mean? Like, versus, like, maybe you can be kind of a dick and there is still that legacy kind of there. But, like, you know, big speaking, when you're talking about, like, a Elon Musk and stuff, the only thing they can do for good is, like, that community service. Yeah. Because no longer do you get a pat on the back for, oh, he was just there for everybody. You know what I mean? No, it's like, yeah, but he also made, like, hundreds of millions and didn't, you know, whatever, you know? So, well, I mean, it's just giving back to like, I just feel like if you're in a position of beyond comfortability, it's not a requirement, but I feel like it speaks to character of how you give back. It doesn't have to be financially. It could be just time. And that's almost like the I don't know, like, the exact term for it, but, like, it's almost like the philosophy of, like, you don't have to return the shopping cart. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's also like you should, but it's kind of like a measure of your character of whether you will do it or not. Yeah. And it's not because it's like, you're not forced to do anything, but it's just like, will you do it? Yeah. What will you do when you're not forced to do something? How do you respond? How do you react? You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know. I just thought, like, for sure there's it changes based off different levels of a legacy, but I think at the bare minimum, like, I think we're successful dudes, and I think we fit still in that bare minimum legacy of who everybody you touch is the memory you leave behind. And to get a couple of those 1, 2, 3 accolades is going to be awesome. Yeah. Kind of like your grandpa, you know what I mean? Where it's like, he ran a couple business, you know, like, did that self-employed thing. Like, that's a cool accolade. And then the person follows. And then that kind of gives you the overall pride that you have in your lineage kind of thing, you know? And it's like, man, I think at the base level, I think we fall into that. And I think it kind of got me excited. You know, it kind of gives those little subconscious things that do give you gratification. It's like,
that perspective is how you get that gratification. Maybe it's kind of like, you know, okay, like it's not, it kind of makes you look at the grand scheme, I guess. Because how many people do we know or maybe have known and maybe younger than us or like on our way up, which is in that younger age, like early 20s, where it's kind of like you could see people and they're just kind of like, fuck, like, I don't, like everybody's out to get them.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to work out right. Like every girl's going to cheat on you kind of thing, you know, or whatever. And it's kind of like you're only looking in the next 2 to 3 years right now, which maybe you're right.
And sometimes people get stuck in that bubble too.
Yeah. But then it's like that person, if you think about it, being that way is leaving a memory for your, you know, the people around you.
Yeah.
You know, and it is kind of like a semi legacy, and those ruts create their own stories and stuff like that or whatever. But it's like when you think about it grand scheme wise, like this mentality is what I will be spoken about, is how I will be spoken about. It's kind of like, why like, damn, like change that, you know? I don't know. And what's funny too is a lot of people that think that way have parents that think that way.
Yeah. And
they have zero pride or appreciation for that either. Yeah. You know, like they're just kind of like, can you imagine if you looked up to your parent or something like that? Like really, like that person did what you're looking to do kind of thing, or
like your direct idol.
Right. And it's like most people are not that. So I will say it's hard to do. But isn't that some motivation a little bit?
No, definitely.
Not just for yourself and your own legacy and your own memory, but then to be that to your kids or whatever, like the lineage you leave behind kind of thing.
And I feel like that amplifies like exponentially whenever you do actually have children.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't have kids, but like me just looking at like my niece, I remember when I looked at my little brother.
That's something too.
When I looked at my little brother, because me and my little brother have a big age gap. He just turned 14. I'm about to turn 27, you know. So we have a pretty decent sized age gap. And I remember whenever I was in my late teens, early 20s, I look at my little brother and be like, oh, I want to make him proud. I want to do things that like makes him proud. And now with my niece, it's the same way. I don't want my niece to see like negative things. You know, I want her to be surrounded by positivity, and me be one of the people that bring that positivity, stuff like that to her. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like when you have your own children.
Oh, 10 times that. But that's a good source too. Like if you can't have that foresight of your own children, which it is kind of hard for it to have the same magnitude if you don't have kids. Yeah. But to imagine that is if you have nieces and nephews, because they look up to you. Mm-hmm. They do. Like I talk about my uncles all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
They probably don't even know it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like they don't even know it. But that's the legacy they're leaving behind, being that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know,
people, and we have uncles that we don't talk about.
Nope.
Ever.
Yep.
You know?
No, that's true. You know, I think that even kind of runs around to like a point I was thinking about it earlier when you were speaking, is that like I've had family members that have passed, and they didn't do good things in life, and to hear how everybody talks and what's said about them for that, it's sad. You don't want that. You don't want to have people speak of your name like that when it's your time to go.
Well, and we're talking about long term.
Yeah, exactly.
That conversation, what we were talking about, for sure. The short term, it's all types of gray. Yeah. That like initial rest in peace thing, it's all types of gray. But where you were kind of calling bullshit a little bit on that argument, we know long term.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like if nobody really has anything that they care to say to their next lineage, that story dies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really sad though.
Yeah, it's true. And it's like, do you want your story to die? You know, like technically my grandpa's story should be way more glorified, but he was such an ass that it got muted. Mm-hmm. No matter what the accolades were. Like technically that's migrated from Columbia, engineering, worked in the military service, made good money, all that, right? Big family, all that. And it's like, because you're such an asshole, And because you know the way you went about life, your story stopped pretty quick.
Yeah, not just that, but it
got cut into 3 bullet
He
points.
also died pretty young. So
He did too. And you can't control that.
That's
right?
another thing, because and like sometimes people that are assholes, sometimes like I've learned that I think like as they get older in a general sense, they tend to just kind of be more calm with life.
Naturally.
And maybe he never had that point of like realization, or maybe he did have that point, but it just never like it didn't get to outweigh.
That's even more though. That's even more motivation. It's like none of us know when we die.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So like, and like I feel like that is like the biggest factor, is because at any moment it can be your calling, your time. You know what I mean? And
that's and to that same point is like there's people that die at 20 with way more legacy than he died at 65.
Yeah, it's like
you know,
it's like they say like, if you die tomorrow, what did you do today?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
It's definitely like a thoughtful topic, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking my cousin, like within that conversation, my cousin that passed away, my 4th grade year, I wrote an essay about going to watch him, and he did like a hat trick at his he does hockey, and he did a hat trick, meaning he's got 3 goals in 1 game or whatever. I sounded super stupid when I was saying that. He did a little hat trick at a hockey game.
I was like, wait, what?
No. Anyways, and I wrote like an essay about it, and I'm trying to find it or whatever. But I know my mom was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." Told her sister. She told him, right? And it's like, look, that's impact. Like he died at 23, but my kids are gonna know about him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like 100% because of what he did to me and my impact. I know my cousin's kids know about me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And the better I do in life, the more they're gonna carry that on.
Yeah, exactly.
The more they're gonna be like, yeah, no, my mom's, cousin who's like her brother or whatever is like fucking awesome, and I could always ask him about stuff like this. It's like, oh, wouldn't you love to be that person for somebody? Because it means a lot more too when you don't have that. You know?
No, definitely, it's true.
I think you don't appreciate it when you have it, but you should.
Yeah,
and it's like you got to keep that up, kind of thing. But then when you don't have it, that's an extra motivation for me.
For sure.
Because it's like, damn, how would I love to look up or have that type of lineage? And honestly, it's motivation for me too, because those that don't have it, if you can't think of somebody that kind of fits that, or you always envy the people where it's like, oh yeah, obviously like your dad's your idol, your grandpa was this, and you come from this, like A, good for them, but B, for you, if you don't have that, that's more motivation. Because imagine starting that. Right? It's one thing to have it and keep it going. You have to. Like, that's what we're talking about here. But if you don't have that, which a lot of people don't, imagine starting that. You know what I mean? Like, imagine being the start of, like, my last name or whatever. And that's very, like, a weird way of thinking about it. But, like, no, that family name those are the Maderos. Yeah. Or something like that. Like, sometimes it's like, I don't know.
No, it's true, though. It's true.
It's something.
You gotta start walking on New Year, start walking around the neighborhood with luggages and start eating 12 grapes?
No.
Why not? Colombian traditions, bro.
No, but it's a booster for me. Because I think a lot of people do thankless help out there. And it gets draining. And it's like, hey, here's a little reminder why that shit matters. Not everybody thinks of it this way, and then luckily end up on the better end of the, of the legacy or the story or whatever. But imagine knowing, like being aware that your story is being written right now, that your kids are going to talk about.
Oh, it's true.
This podcast is something too.
Yeah.
My dad was in a podcast. Look.
Yeah, exactly.
My grandpa was in the podcast. Like, look how they used to look back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Stupid. Right? Like, the nerds trying to figure that shit out. They look dumb, It's like, this is what we had. Like, this is dope. That's why I like speaking about it, because we didn't do that for that, but look what it is, Yeah, exactly. It's like, man, we work hard for this and stuff, but you know what? This is something we're passing down.
It's documentation.
I love that shit, bro. Yeah, that shit gets me excited.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I really like and do enjoy this, because I just know that like things are documented, and I feel like right now we're in some of the most pivotal moments of our lives. Like even though like we've done a lot of stuff to get to where we're at, at least for me in my life, this moment, like right now, in the moments that I'm in right now, are
changing,
are huge, man. And it's like they're really big moments, scary moments. There's a lot going on, and it's funny because like I remember when I was in my early 20s thinking like, oh, when I'm 25, 26, I'm 26 right now, and I'm like thinking like I'm gonna be in a mansion chilling, like I'm gonna have everything figured out. And man, I still learn every single day, and I'm still trying to grow. And it makes me wonder if I'm ever going to be in a point where like I'm not like trying to chase and trying to grow and to be something different, you know?
No, I think it's always going to be who we are. It's just going to be what is the difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Stan tells me the same thing. It's just like, your personality, like, what happens when you get everything you want? Like, I'm like, no, it's just what it goes into right now. Like, technically, I'm not this way about the podcast. Like, I kind of am, but we're definitely treating it another way. If I ever get everything I want, motherfucker, best believe that group chat's going to be popping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all right, guys, time to direct this energy somewhere else.
Yeah.
Here I go. You know what I mean? So, it's that's just our personality type or whatever. But
yeah,
I don't know. I like it's dope because, you know, I'm in a different career path than when I started this. Like I remember talking about that super analyst route or whatever when we first started. I proposed on the podcast. We'll probably talk about my bachelor party on the podcast. We'll probably talk about the wedding on the podcast. It's kind of a cool thing, you know what I mean? Like to look back on, especially when you think about like if you're not here tomorrow. It's really funny because we all think about that here and there. Like, you know, oh, what if I died? It's always like on the car ride or something, and then you go through like what would happen. The podcast always pops up for me.
Mine's more so late at night.
Yeah, when you're sleeping.
When I'm getting ready to go to sleep, I start thinking about like that. My mind just goes. I've learned that like when I'm like, okay, get the fuck back over here. But let's not go over there. Let's not think like that because you be thinking sometimes.
But I always think about that. I'm like, damn, like, because it's real for me because my cousin passed away at 23. So you could kind of see like he had a girl that was gonna be his fiance, stuff like that, and it's like I think of Christian. I'm like, damn, well, you have the podcast you could listen to, bro. That's so terrible, though. Yeah, I don't know if that'd be torture, but still, it's something. It's definitely something. And then the way
you gotta start sending voice messages over to her for her to have.
Yeah, but you know what's dope too, and like to wrap this up, the way I talked about my grandpa already at 26. My kids or my grandkids won't talk about me that way. Yeah. You know? Already. I mean, I could totally fuck things up. Yeah. Yeah. But at least they can say, I don't know, he used to be cool. Look at this. Look at the pop.
Yeah, it's like, well, this was what he was like.
This is what he used to be like.
I don't know. He started gambling.
That's scary because I say that about people. This is a problem.
Things happen though, man. Things never happen. But the thing is ground yourself on it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, Happy New Year's, guys.
That was a good kind of relative since we're in
the start of a new year.
Start of a new year, new me, resolution season.
The question is, what are you going to do this year to fulfill your legacy? To try to obtain a legacy that you want to pass on to your family. That's the real question. What are you going to do? But no, it's a good time of year, you know, like, and I used to always be the type of person that used to always bash people in New Year's. It's like, oh, you're going to start doing something now. Why didn't you start doing that? Blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what, man?
It's a benchmark. We do what we all do.
Exactly. And it's like, you know what? If somebody wants to start something new, fucking do it. And if only 1%, 10% actually change themselves with what they want to do or actually achieve what they want to do, then fuck it, man. I'm all for people trying to make themselves better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you got to build that momentum in your head.
Yeah. But it just fucking sucks how busy the gym's going to be the next 2 months.
Yeah. Yep.
But no. You guys want to add anything?
Nah, man. That's it.
All right, guys. Pocket watch out.
Out.